RX.
That's me, bitches.
And we're here with our lovely neighbor, David.
Yep.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And so I want to kind of talk about when I first met David. I was... Oh, we got to take a drink.
That's bad luck.
But yeah, exactly. So I was here. I had just moved in, and I was redoing this garage. What you see before you, the palace, turning into the palace that you see before you, of course. And you know, I had my dog Sanford out here, and I was maybe I think I was up in the rafters doing some kind of probably doing the insulation up there.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and you had stopped the car there, and I was like, "There's a new area," and I was like, "What the hell's going on here?" And you got out, and I was like, "Oh." And Sanford ran after you. I was like, "Okay, well here's the test. Here's what I see," you know.
Yeah.
And then I didn't call him back. I was like, "Okay, he's either gonna not like it and be like a bad guy, or he's gonna be a friendly dude." And so, Sanford's a pretty good judge of character.
Yeah.
And so here you are today, and I do apologize for sicking my 2-year-old yellow lab on you.
You know what's funny is we did a drive-by in the neighborhood because we saw on Zillow a house came up on the market, and we're looking in this area. And I told my wife, I was like, everybody keeps telling me before you buy a house, you have to do a drive-by at night. You have to do a little walk around. And we just drove by, and I was like, I saw a garage open, and I was like, it looks pretty cool. I was like, garage open. I was like, somebody's doing something in there. I told my wife, I was like, I'm going to just go over there and I'm going to see what's up. I was like, going to kind of introduce myself. And my wife is super scared of dogs. So right when she saw your dog, she hid behind the SUV. And she's just like, I'm not going anywhere closer to that house. I'm going to go back to the car. I was like, you go and, introduce yourself and all that. So I walked up and I introduced myself, and I just kind of wanted to know how the neighborhood was. And you said the funniest thing, I'll never forget it. You said, this neighbor is better than Oakland. I was just like, that's not good.
Hey, I set the bar at a certain area and just haven't been able to move it.
It's funny because I'm just thinking to myself, I was like, that's how bad it is over here. It's I did some events in Oakland. I used to do t-shirts for sporting events for teens. And we would do soccer tournaments, football tournaments, basketball tournaments. I would do Reno, LA, Salt Lake, Vegas, next to Vegas. And it was a franchise company called Fine Designs. And a few events I did in Oakland, and I was next to the arena, and I was in the most sketchy motel. And it was just every time I'd come there, I was like, something was happening. I heard some gunshots. I saw some sketchy people outside. Somebody was banging on my door, thought that, they forgot something, probably on drugs. But it was just so interesting. My perspective of Oakland was so ghetto, So when I pulled up to your place and you go, it's a little better than, it's not as bad as Oakland, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, this place is horrible. But in my back of my mind, I was all like, if it's better than Oakland, and I was all like, I was like, it's Sacramento. I was like, I grew up here my whole life. It should be decent,
Yeah. I mean, it's not too bad. The neighbors around here are great.
Yeah.
I love all the neighbors around here. And it's just, you've seen it. I mean, you've seen they have that homeless encampments not far away. And so we have that big empty field in the backyard outside of my fence. And it's I was telling you earlier that we saw during the storms, a bunch of homeless people had gotten multiple vehicles stuck down there because it was basically like a swamp.
Yeah.
Like a bog. And so they got the full size, like an A-Team van, van with a V8 that's old Dodge van, kind of the business van, and they got that stuck in there, and then they brought this kind of like a large like a Dodge diesel, like a Cummins out there, and to try and get it out. Couldn't get it out, so that truck got stuck as well.
They're probably both 2-wheel drive, because if they're 4-wheel drive, they're probably a locking differential. They probably pulled that thing out quick. There's probably another 2-wheel drive Dodge Cummins burning, the rubber out there.
I mean, quite possibly, but I got video of it, but I got to go back and look to see if all 4 tires are spinning or just the 2.
Yeah.
But I know on the van was 4-wheel drive.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah, and because it had got so bad that it had dug the wheels in.
Yep.
Right, because they didn't try to like put like a wood plank out there or put anything that the tires would grip on. They just like, okay, if I just nail the throttle, then we'll get out, but like it just dug itself deeper to where the tires were like not holding all the weight of the car. Like the bottom was on the floor. It was on the ground, it was in the mud.
They dug themselves into the mud and it's just the body sitting on the dirt.
And then they get this some idea to bring a Toyota Tacoma out there. And this lifted Tacoma is like, it has nice tires, but man, no way.
Yeah.
And so, of course, multiple broken straps later, pulled bumpers. They ended up getting the trucks out of there, but they could not get that van out of there. So that van stayed here for like a month or 2. And it was just, abandoned, but they were still kind of like living out of it and still hanging out there. And it was just, man, and they kept trying to rev it and get it out. And you could slowly tell that it was giving out. Yeah. There was a tick, and then the tick turned into a
clunk.
And they still, that didn't bother them. It was clunky, and they still revved the shit out of that until it just was like, and then it just wouldn't start, But
then they got a tow truck or what?
I don't know exactly. It was one day, I think I had to go away for the weekend, and then it was gone. So, but there was still some pieces of it. Like there was still a bumper and there was still 2 tires. And so
they like pulled it out, 2 tires just stayed.
Yeah. I'm wondering if they're just like, oh man, we're never going to get these tires unstuck. Let's just take the tires off. Let's just unbolt the wheels and try and like lift it on with some kind of like pulley, but I would have loved to get the camera set up and saw how they did that.
You had like a live stream going.
Dude, and it was very entertaining because they're out there and they're like, they've all got their shirts off. They're trying to like, they're getting all muddy and everything and they're falling, slipping in the mud and trying to jump on something. And then like one time they jumped on the truck on the Tacoma and it did catch traction and dude just goes flying off the back of the bed, and it's just, wow.
Yeah.
It's quite a sight.
Yeah. What's interesting is that like, there's people with logic and there's people who that they throw logic out the window. And it's like when you go back there, that's where those people hang out.
Oh, bless their hearts.
They want to get certain things done and they'll do whatever it takes, but they won't put logic back into a situation. Like, okay, we got one thing stuck, another card stuck. The third one, we have to bring a third one, So it's like they'll take as many things that they need to keep it going. They would have probably brought a fourth card. They just had nobody to come out there.
Oh, no doubt. And there was a time when a tow truck did come out there.
Yeah.
And I saw the dude kind of like park towards the street and he kind of walked over to him. And then they started yelling at him and he just walked back and left. So, I mean, somebody made some kind of attempt, and we, I've heard, I think people were calling and because everybody was talking about like what they're doing back there. Cause you could hear it.
Yeah.
They were revving that shit sometimes at like 3 a.m, at like the only time when you don't want to hear revs.
Yeah.
And, jeez, but there was a time actually where, somebody tried to steal my Yukon.
Oh yeah.
Right
You told me about that. You said you came inside and you saw like the ignition was broken, right?
Yeah. I get in there to bring the kids into, take them to school in the morning. And holy shit, the whole cowling of my steering column is off. Luckily they left it there and they, took it off in a nice way. But then they, busted up my ignition.
Yeah.
And just, pried everything off. So now it just looks janky. I was able to put most of the stuff back together, but then they, of all things, they took my phone charger and my fast track. It's like, man, that's an inconvenience.
Yeah.
That's a big inconvenience. And I almost wish you would have just stolen it. Because it's got a lot of miles.
Found it somewhere, totally destroyed, get an insurance check.
Yeah, man, somebody else could use it. I get it. But you could fit a lot of people in there.
Yeah. A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah. That's
right?
what they need. They need a car with they can fit a lot of stuff into.
They probably also saw that it was 2-wheel drive, and they're like, "Oh fuck, this is going to get stuck too."
They're trying to pull their van out.
Yeah. Like, this is not going to work for the van. It's just going to add an extra car.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? One time I went out of the country, like to travel with one of my buddies, and I left my car. It was a Honda, and it was in my parents' neighborhood. And when I came back, I get in the car to drive too. My ignition's busted as well. So I guess they tried to steal it. They couldn't. What happened was it was like not the older Hondas. It was like a 04, 05. And it had a immobilizer chip in the key. So they thought they were just going to break the ignition and start it, but it didn't really work in their favor. So I had to call a guy, a buddy of mine. He came out and they just swapped out the whole ignition and the driver door lock. So it was like all the other keys were one key and the trunk and stuff. And then the ignition and the driver door were another key. But I mean, it still started and ended up selling the car afterwards. But
yeah, so I think something like that happened with my wife's car.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden we couldn't get in the key wouldn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And she had left it, I think, unlocked one night.
Yeah.
But they didn't take anything.
They didn't take anything out of my car either.
Yeah.
It was just, I came up to the door. It was weird. It opened because I locked the car. So they got it open somehow, maybe through the window. They know what they're doing. And then the key would not turn anymore. And I was just like, come on. I was like, and the thing is that they put the steering column back together though. So it was janky, but they put it back together. So they're like, we weren't here,
We're just going to be, that's just common courtesy. Yeah. At some point, that's just like, just help this guy out. And because they were probably used to the 90s Hondas where you can just shove that
a
thing
screwdriver in there and then just turn
and go.
It. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, oh man, we just wrecked this guy's morning.
Yeah, I had a Acura Integra. Like it was one of my first cars. And I remember one day I couldn't find the key. So I went on YouTube and this guy put up a video and it said how not to steal a car just to get by or something like that. So he unscrews the ignition switch and he just turns the screwdriver and starts. So I go to my garage, I unscrewed the 2 bolts and I started my Integra and I went to work and back with the screwdriver and I was like, this is so sketchy. Can you imagine? The cop pulls up and I'm just like with the screwdriver starting my car. But I ended up finding the keys later on. What's funny was they were in the trunk because I came back from the gym, threw my, took my stuff out and the keys were like, put them down and they fell where the spare was. And so I couldn't find my keys, but they were in the car the whole time, So, but I ended up finding them anyways. And then you just screw the 2 bolts back in, and the key starts the car right back up.
You know what would be funny if, because they were kind of so easy to start like that.
Yeah.
If you just kind of had this, like a little big, like a big receiver, and you just had one of those like extra large plastic keys that the kids play with, just shove that in there and start it with that, and like whoever you like, say you're giving a ride to a coworker or something. Oh, yeah. Forgot my keys. Oh, there they are. They're like, haha, very funny. And you actually start the car with that shit.
That would be hilarious.
I gotta do that. I should have done that with this.
Yeah. Just like a funny toy key.
Yeah, it's a big plastic one. like a big Duplo.
Yeah.
You shove in there.
That'd be hilarious. So what do you do? Like, what is your actual job title? What do you do for a living?
Well, I'm in, you might say commodities. I got the job because so when I retired from sports, it was like my oldest was like 3 or 4 years old, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. And, I was missing out on a lot of things because every sports team wants to have a game on Christmas and then a game on Father's Day and a game on, every other holiday. And it's like, because people just fucking love, on Christmas, we're gonna eat hot dogs on Christmas. Fuck that. Going to a game is fun, but Christmas is like, man, or Thanksgiving is like, shit, and so you miss out on all those things because I had to do baseball, hockey, football, and basketball at some point, so if football is off, baseball is on, and if basketball is, if that's off, then, football or hockey and basketball have the same schedule pretty much. They have the same season, you know?
Yeah.
So they're on the same time and you kind of miss out on all that. And I was missing out. So I retired from sports and, it's not like I played or anything. I was just IT guy, but, I did IT purchasing. I was counting the cash in the cash room. I did all kinds of things at different times. But
You were there where you were needed.
I was everywhere.
Yeah,
I was Visa. I was everywhere you want to be. But you know, I stepped back from it, and that way, you know, I got a job that was just basically I could go in and leave the job and work, you know, just like regular hours, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Have my weekends back, have my holidays back. You know, not have to stay for, you know, sometimes 26-hour days.
Yeah.
And so then I was able to, you know, start taking the kids to school, things like that. And I got like my life back, you know, and that's kind of why I did it. And now, you know, there was all kinds of like transitionary periods when I first started there, because it was kind of a startup, but it was kind of like it had been going for a while and it was not doing well. Then it was starting to do well. And so it was kind of like a re-up.
Yeah.
You know, not quite a startup, but a re-up. And so all these transitionary periods happened. We kind of ended up not having deciding to not have an office, you know, to like have a warehouse that's offsite, things like that.
Yeah.
So we kind of started working from home. And then COVID hit, and then everybody started working from home. And then it was like, okay, well, we kind of had an office that we just didn't go into all the time, but now let's not even have that, really. So we'll just everybody work remote, drop ship. It's just a web of things now.
You're in a world that you want to be in. Because sometimes we go to a job, or even it's the remote, you're at home, you're doing something that you don't always want to be doing, but you know that you got to give your time to swap it out for cash that you need to live on. And then you could use that money to live on, and then the rest of your time to do what you love.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like that's the real trick, you know, is if I could get paid for doing hobbies or anything, that'd be great. You know, maybe one day, you know, maybe all our sponsors will up their tickets and start throwing us some real cash. Who knows? Looking at you, Kirkland, right? The big red machine. But you know, it's important to kind of have those projects, and you know, keeps it going. You know, like I did the Camaro. I finished the Camaro here. You know, I made sure to paint it at my last house. The one that we were renting. You know, just San Mateo. And dude, I transformed that whole garage into a paint booth. Covered everything in the plastic. You know, and had the had the vacuum, had the suction fans blowing this way and fans sucking out, you know, and just, I mean, it didn't turn out perfect, but it turned out well enough to where I can live with it, you know, and it was never like going to be a show car. It was always kind of like an experiment of like what one person can do in their garage, you know, with like not having like buddies come over and help you do this. Like you figure it out, do everything yourself, you know. And I will have to have somebody come out and help me figure out like little things in the wiring, but it runs and drives now. Yeah. It's not tuned to be fast. It's tuned to like have a baseline to basically just start and run, you know? So there's all kinds of tweaks that need to happen. And like, I found out that I definitely need new shocks because you know how like if you're in a Porsche or like a Ferrari or something, you can be going 100 miles an hour and it feels like you're going like 50. Yeah. Right. This is the opposite.
You could be going 25, feel like you're going.
Like I'm going like to pick up my daughter over like the corner. I'm taking that corner, right? Yeah. That's over by that church. Yeah. And I'm going, you know, a little bit slower than all the rest of the cars. And I'm like, whoa, shit, you know, because the suspension in here is. It's the same.
You're driving a regular corner, but you're drifting it.
Yeah, it's like what is going on? And these tires are, they don't have any metal in them. You know, they're the old school tires. You can see they're like, you don't see Kelly Supercharger on today's tires. No. So those tires, that rubber on there is older than I am. Yeah. You know, and the suspension, I guarantee, is too. You know, there's all kinds of like things I need to do to it to get it to like the next phase. But it'll happen down the road. Yeah. It's just, getting the time to do it, because I have to build the transmission before I put it in, build the motor before I put it in, and all of that kind of like has to be planned and coordinated with like when's the rear end coming, and then what about the rear suspension? Well, if you're going to do the rear suspension, then you got to go all the way out to the brakes.
Yeah.
And it's like when I got this thing, it was beat up, and I bought it for $1,000 off of a tweaker. And they do give the best deals
In the Bay Area, right?
No, in it was I think somewhere close to like Fresno or somewhere around there.
You can find some good tweakers out there as well.
Yeah. It's just a stone's throw from a tweaker at any moment. But so, this guy was selling it, and there was like cats living in it, and it didn't have a windshield, so that was the only thing. It started and drove. He didn't have any keys for it, which was, you'd think that's kind of like a red flag, which usually, yeah, but he had the pink slip. So this he's got the pink slip. He's got, enough teeth to where I can understand him. And he's willing to take 1,000 cash. He wanted 2,000, right? And I was like, well, I have 1,000 cash right here. He's like, oh, well, I was really hoping to get 1,500. And I was like, no, I got 1,000 cash here. He was like, well, can you do 1,200? And I was like, man, if you can't do 1,000, I gotta go, because that's all I got here. And so he was like, okay. So did it, $1,000, got it towed away to my house down in it was in Watsonville at the time. So like down in kind of like the Monterey area, and got it towed there, and I was just gonna rattle can it and just paint some weird ass shit on it, and just because it was just a $1,000 car that it's smog exempt and I could do whatever I want with it.
Yeah.
But then I started taking things off, and I was like, oh, well, if I got to take this off, then I better take this off. And this has some rust on it. I better recheck for rust everywhere. And then it's a slippery slope, and pretty much then next thing you know, you're putting new floor pans on, and you have everything out of there, and it's just bare metal everywhere.
Were you welding stuff?
Yeah.
Did you weld before that? Like you already knew how to weld, or you learned how to weld with this car?
No, I knew how to weld, not very well. But I had welded when I was young. I used to kind of I welded my mom like this big bird sculpture that she still has today. It's still together. It's like it's made out of like some hubs and like an old steel barrel that I cut with like a cutting torch and made like little feathers. But I welded. So actually, when I really got good at welding, when I was in Chico, I welded my Halloween costume together. And it was basically a transforming version of my old car. My old Camaro. It was a 99 SS.
Yeah.
With it was all blacked out with just a blue stripe and blue hood scoop. So I was that, right? And so what I did was I took a month off of work for this. I didn't even have my own welder. I borrowed my stepdad's welder and his gloves and everything I needed to it, and went to like the wrecking yards and just was like, I just want hoods, just car hoods. I wanted the smoothest ones without any like louvers or grooves or anything. And so I bought the hoods, skinned the hoods, separated the hood skin from the hood frame.
Yeah.
And then, took the frames to recycling. I got like maybe $20 back for those, and just cut into the skins and used that as my sheet metal.
Yeah.
Cut into it with like a cutting wheel, which took forever. And, welded basically like the arms had the fenders on them and the lights, and the front, the hood folded down, and the top was like, like the roof of the car. And so the bottom, I had these wheelbarrow wheels that I had put on here with they actually rolled, and I had actual like pneumatic tires on one here, and then one on my like shins, one on each shin.
Yeah.
And so when I was curled down and crouched down like that, you could roll, and if you kept it really tight together. But The only thing was like I couldn't go into any bars because I was wearing like this 80-pound costume and like it was hard for me to walk and it had a bunch of sharp, jagged edges, you know, to where like if I bump into you, you got tetanus. You know, you got tetanus right away. If I just nick you a little bit, that's it. You know, pour some alcohol on that. Luckily, we're in like the right place, but you know, none of the bouncers would. Actually, one of the bouncers let me in because he was like, "Man, that looks like a lot."
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was. You know, and I did minimal padding for the inside, so I had cuts and scrapes all over me. You know, and like the costume.
But your idea came to fruition. Like you had this, like you imagined something and you made it into reality.
Yeah,
and like the whole month off of work.
Yeah, a whole month to first go to like to first plan this thing out, right? Because it took like a day to like draw everything up and like make sure that I had the right idea for the materials and everything. And then a couple more days to like go to the junkyards, get enough hoods, skin them, recycle the frames and everything, you know. But it was a big project, and I couldn't like. That was my first like, okay, you're constantly welding, you know. So make sure you have a good helmet. That was a real thing.
Do you have any photos?
I do say I think I have some on my Instagram.
You know what'd be cool is like during the podcast you'd have a photo come up of
Man, yeah, God.
of your project Halloween costume.
Yeah, see if you could find that. It might be on my Instagram. I have like 12 posts on there.
That would be so good, you know, just like your car Halloween costume.
God.
Just so people could see like the work you put in. I mean, like for me, it's interesting for me to see the amount of effort went into this.
Yeah, I mean, they're like this was probably around 2010 or 11. So camera phones at the time were shitty.
Yeah.
So it was like they're grainy pictures, but I'm pretty sure that I have some.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have to go to Google and do it because I think all my passwords are logged in there.
We're in.
Oh, we're in. There we are. Oh, we're back on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it was just a hell of a. I mean, that's when you really learn to weld, when you're constantly doing that. And so, like, I haven't welded something that precision matters yet, like with a turbo or like with exhaust or something. But I did weld a couple pieces on here. There was a piece that had oh, there it is. It's that one. It's the drawing one. That's the drawing. So that's the drawing. And yeah, I think there's a picture of the real one. Yeah, that's the hood.
That's you working on it. Yep.
Yeah. That's the helmet. Yeah. And that was the car that I made it after.
Photos.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't quite the photographer, and that's it right there. It's a dark photo, but it's all together.
That's
right
you
there.
Crouched up, or is it just like mocked up on the ground?
That's mocked up. Yeah, that's mocked. Because
I thought you were in there.
No, because I gotta take a picture. Yeah, it's just me in the house. I'm alone. You think I had a girlfriend at this time?
I don't think so, because you don't have this much time.
Oh wait, I may have.
She left.
Not after this.
Not after this. This was the last straw.
Yeah.
A month off work, and he's like making this mock up in the house. She's like,
I gotta go.
What is this guy doing? I'm just kind of like holed up in
see
there.
where that car was? That's where her stuff was.
Just
She took
writing
it
memoirs like Ted Kaczynski in there, just not shaved or anything. I'm kind of like Saddam when they found him in that spider hole, all hairy and like,
You're just rolling around in the neighborhood in it.
Yeah, rolling dirty. But yeah, it actually rolled, and yeah, I'm glad I got the pictures of the beforehand too, so you could actually see like the material on it, because it's
yeah. So you drew everything up on the hoods before you cut it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
You used crayon.
Yep. I used lined paper.
Yeah, lined paper and colored pencil.
Yeah.
You were in college.
You see how much time he has.
Lined paper and colored pencils. Yup. Yeah, this is probably the most elaborate project I did all of college. And it was,
and that's when I knew I will have to redo a car after this time. I was
and that's when I knew maybe college isn't for me.
Oh, that's good. That's good. No, it's interesting how sometimes we'll take on a project and we don't care how much time it takes or effort or finances. We just want to get that thing done.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know, you probably seen it, but I got a Sprinter, and I bought it off auction. It was in Helena, Montana.
Yeah. So explain to people what the Sprinter is.
So the Sprinter is a house. It's a pleasure way Sprinter. It's a house on wheels, and it's the companies the company buys the Sprinters from them, from Mercedes Sprinters, Dodge Sprinters that of those years, and they convert them into like RVs. And so I ended up buying it off the auction. It was hit in the fender and the hood and front bumper, and I ended up it's a 2006 pleasure way. Mercedes, yeah, because there's some of them are like
Mercedes,
yes, Mercedes,
ballin'.
yeah. So I ended up buying it, and it was hit in the fender and the bumper and the hood, and it didn't look too much damage. But my buddy, he works on Sprinters in Rancho. It's a place called Sprinter Pros, and when it came in, the engine got tapped a little bit, and so the timing front cover had to be taken out. So you have to take out the whole engine. I got a parts Sprinter that's not an RV, just a regular Sprinter. It was funny. It was $800 at the auction. So, but the engine didn't run or anything. It was like a rusty old Sprinter, but the engine was complete. So he took out both engines and he built one with both. Like took off the timing cover, stuff like that. So that engine had 400,000 miles. Mine has 119. So, but all I needed was the timing cover, and then I had a guy come out and do the timing. So that took a lot longer than we anticipated. I thought I was just gonna get a few parts. And then what ended up happening was the radiator support was hit. So we had to cut off the radiator support and mock up this whole front end for the Sprinter. So I had to take it to a frame shop. And so pretty much it was just like I got it beginning of 2023. And I just brought it home at the end of last year, like around November, where it was still needed a few decals done. But the Sprinters, it's like this right here, exact same color. Yep, right there. So exact same color, same exact one.
Yeah.
So
balling.
yeah. So the front bumper off of the van didn't come with it. The front bumper to order from Europe is $2,500 before shipping fees. So I had a guy take the original regular front bumper and fiberglass make one for me from pictures.
Yeah, I need that guy's number.
Yeah. So he's in West Sacramento, and he did like a wide body kit for somebody, and like on a YouTube channel. And so he took this bumper, he made it, and then he tossed it across the shop to show the durability of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he knows what he's doing. And then he fixed it, and then my other buddy who does paint is like down the street from him. He ended up painting the green and then the white hood and 2 fenders, and then he got some of the roof too, because it was like on the older Dodges and Mercedes, the white paint, and like it's like what is it called, stage 1? I forget what it's called, like base coat.
Oh, it's a single stage
paint. So it flakes. So he just hit the roof too, because always getting that wind action when you're driving. So it started a little flaking. So he hit the roof as well. So I took it into a decal shop recently off of Marysville, and it's called Black Dog Graphics. And they did the pleasure way on top of the roof, and then the decals on the door and fender, because those are repainted.
Oh.
And then so pretty much little pieces here and there, but overall, I mean, it's just been a long project that I just thought I was gonna buy, enjoy, and then sell. But it's been like over a year now where I just got it registered, and it's like, and I'm only thinking about taking it out now. And then we just had a baby.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that, because it's like, oh, you got a camper van, but man, if you're gonna go camping with a baby, that's brave. Yeah, that's some bravery, and that's some patience right there.
Yeah, and so like I told my wife, I was all like, I don't know if this is the time in her life for a Sprinter, man. I was like, it was an idea that seemed cool, because I always play cars on auction for my business, and I saw the van, and I was like, this would be a fun little project. I was like, my buddy's like, sure, I'll fix it, So I was like, I already have somebody who's gonna fix it. I have the funds to buy it, and it just one thing after another, and it's just been like this hole for money, just been like throwing money pit. Yeah, money pit. And the thing is, it's like, it's nice when I think maybe a person's retired and they have all this money that they can just invest into something. But when you're my age and you're trying to build something and like maybe invest in places, I don't think a RV is a place you want to put your money.
I mean, if you were gonna if you're gonna use it, but you're like kind of putting it back to like stock or like a showroom, kind of like how it was, original condition.
Yeah, because inside it's perfect. It has like a reclining motorized bed, kitchen, bathroom. It has AC, heater, propane for gas. I mean, it has all this cool stuff inside, and it's like this one right here, right there. Yep, right there it is. exact same inside.
Oh yeah, that's
So
nice.
it's a full AC unit. It has a kitchen. It has the bathrooms right. This is the closet, there's a bathroom right
Are
here.
those granite countertops?
They're like mock-up, like they're like they look like linoleum or whatever. They're not
It's like a vinyl. It's like
yeah, like a vinyl. But
Okay.
the newer ones have granite, like 2010, 11, 12.
Shit.
But the 06, they had to mock it up, make it look like that. But overall, it's really nice inside, and that's what really made me want to keep putting money into it, because I was like, just the accident, I found like a stack of different campsites they've been to, like on the van, because 119,000 miles, they've seen some stuff.
Sure.
You know? So it wasn't just standing in front of their house. And what's cool about the Sprinter RVs is it's not like a regular motorhome. A buddy of mine has a regular motorhome. They're super obnoxious and big. This thing, I feel like I'm driving a regular car. Forget that I have a motorhome behind me when I'm driving it, and it goes like, you could go 75, 80 on the freeway, and you feel like you're just driving a regular car.
Well, those kind of have a lower center of gravity compared to like a lot of the other RVs, right?
Yeah, and the RVs are they're fiberglass and like, you know, plastic stuff outside. The Sprinter's all metal.
Ah,
So the only things that are plastic are on the top of the AC unit and like the little vents for the fans and stuff. But the actual whole, you know, frame of the car, you know, shell is metal. So that's why they're sought out for. They're like an Airstream.
oh, because yeah, it's better insulated too.
Yeah. And so, I mean, like, it's a really cool toy. I just think that when you look at toys, you think to yourself, like, they have to be budget friendly, because at certain times in your life, you can get a toy and have it sit in your backyard or in, you know, wherever you want to put it in your garage, and it's okay because you're there. Sometimes I'm looking at it in my backyard, and I'm like, I'm not there yet. So I was like, to have that much fun is just sitting in one spot, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, that's exactly. I'm definitely there. I had to. So my first thing with the car project was to get it running. Right. Like the goal was to be able to drive it to go see that Transformers movie that came out.
yeah.
With my daughter, who helped me build it. Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
She was actually helped me sand it. Oh yeah, go back and you can see that. There's a video of her. Just,
there. Okay,
and
that's
she's
cool.
just, you know, sanding that, and it's just like 2 years old. You're doing it. She helped me build it, and we were in there, and Transformers was always on the TV.
Yeah.
you know, because I just had like the box set, just feeding it to the PS2, because had to move the PS2 out to the garage to make room for the PS4 at the time.
Yeah.
And you know, it was she helped me with just about everything to it, and she also helped me. I had bought a 2500 Silverado, like a just like the fleet kind, right? Just basic long cab or single cab long bed.
Yeah.
And I just bought it so I could have something to drive around, because somebody rear-ended me on the freeway and totaled my last Silverado. So bought this, $2,000, super cheap. And I was like, if anything else, I will just pull the motor, transmission, and everything and put it in this. And so that was kind of like my backup, you know? And so the truck was a piece of shit, turns out. It needed like a shitload of sensors.
Yeah.
Right. And but the guy said it passed smog, and he had it registered and everything. So I was like, cool. And you know, had current tags on it. And so I didn't think anything of it. I'm driving it. I put the sensors and everything in it, changed what I needed to. There was a couple spark plugs that were cracked, so I needed to do that. And drove it to work a couple times. It was good. It was fun. It was a fun truck to drive because it hauled ass.
Yeah.
You know, with that, it had a 6-liter in there, LS based 6-liter.
You got the regular cab with the long bed. So you have all that like center base, like weight in the front, and then just the bed in the back.
And if I really wanted to take it up a notch, I'd take the tailgate down to increase my, you know, my aerodynamics.
It's like a reverse spoiler.
Yeah. But so I was driving it to work, and one day I was driving it home, and these cops see me and they make a U-turn immediately. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so they pulled me over, and they're like, hey, you know why we pulled you over? Never.
Yeah.
I never do. But you know, I wish you'd tell me. And so they're like, your registration is expired. And I was like, no, it's the tags are current. I just bought this a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, this hasn't been registered since 2016. And I was like, 2016? Oh, shit. You know? And so he was like, because I showed him all like the bill of sale because I kept a copy of it and all the stuff. And I was like, man, what am I going to do? I spent $2,000 on this. He's like, well, you're going to spend about $2,000 in fees. And I was like, I don't think so. I was like, well, can I at least just get this towed home? I won't drive it. Can I get it towed home? So I called AAA, and since it had current tags on it, they would tow it.
Yeah.
I just said, I don't think I think there's something wrong with the brakes or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there needed to be, I could use a good brake bleeding.
Yeah.
But so I got it home and I was like, shit, I'm just going to part this out. So I just listed it on Craigslist and immediately, first thing, I had like 10 people interested in the catalytic converter. Right. And sure. So I made I think $400 back on just that. Another 100 on the exhaust, another 100 on the radiator shroud, bumper, lights, things like that. And, you nickel and dime here and there. Yeah. So I ended up, removing the motor, removing the transmission, taking all the wiring out in case I needed it, and the gas pedal because those are drive-by-wire instead of drive-by-cable. So took all that out. And you can see over there, that's the engine on the stand over there. And of course, I have the transmission on a strapped to an office chair over there. I'll show that to you later. But that was just if I ever, because when I do plan on swapping it out and with the turbo, adding a turbo and swapping it out. Because the next thing is to build it into a 10-second car with a $10,000 budget.
Okay.
So
that could be a nice video.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. So, but I got to plan it all out, So
yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
It's interesting. You said part out, and you're like talking about how like the car, you bought the car, and you were like, not gonna drive it anymore, so you brought it home and you parted it out at home. That's what I do for a living, and it's interesting. I used to buy and sell cars, and it was such a headache because from the moment I bought the car, I have to fix all the problems. I didn't like selling a car with issues. I wanted to know that I could drive it cross country and back and, or drive it to LA, wherever, and I wouldn't have any problems with it. So I always try to sell a good vehicle, just good morals. I didn't want bad karma, I didn't want to, pass on a curse. I always wanted to pass on a blessing. Yeah. Yeah. So I ended up buying and selling cars. I think I've owned over 100 vehicles. And that was in I don't know, not a long period of time. I used to buy through this dealer, a car dealer, and he would buy them off the auction. I would get them, I fix whatever I can myself, and then I would take it to paint or whatever. And then I started painting cars myself. I used to rent this paint booth and all this stuff, and it was so much work, and the money was not there. In the back of my mind, I'm making like $3-4 grand off a car, but I'm spending 3 to 4 months on a car. Yeah. So I was making $1,000 a month, but I was still working other jobs. This was never my full-time thing. And people would always see me in a new car, at work. And they're like, why do you work here? You have so many cars.
Are you a drug dealer?
Using the money from there to drug deal and then buy cars. No, but I was buying cars, flipping them, making some money, and then taking that money and flipping into the next car. I saw this thing on YouTube. This guy named Craig, he has a channel called Flying Wheels, and he did $400 to a Ferrari. Like $400 in first investment, and bought a car, fixed the car, sold the car, and they take the money, and then he ended up buying a Ferrari. Spoiler. But for me, it was like I wanted to always have like a stable income and then have a side income, because I always knew that to make it, you would have to have multiple income sources. This from books I've read, from videos I watched, from people I talked to.
Diversify your bonds.
Yep. And so I ended up just doing a bunch of cars, but at the end of the day, I was never making the money that I was, anticipated to make from selling all these vehicles, because you'd always have to take that profit and recoup it back into a different vehicle, just keep, recycling it. And then I met some guys in Rancho who buy cars and then tear them apart for parts. And I started hanging out with them. I would bring them, they like Red Bulls. They like this burrito spot up the street. So I'd bring them burritos, and I would just kind of hang out with them and befriended them, with food and Red Bulls. And I just remember, I just remember hanging out with them, and I thought it was so cool that, they were sharing their knowledge with me. And it's interesting how they always say, seek who's around you, the 5 people, and you'll become the 6th. It wasn't that easy. It wasn't like I was hanging out with them, then boom, I got the money. I was hanging out with these guys. One drove a Bentley, one drove a Hummer H2. This other guy has this like souped out like Nissan 350Z. And I'm like, oh, this is cool, you know. And I had a decent car at the time. I had a Lexus GS 430 all-wheel drive. It was like a '07. It was nice wheels. It was a cool little car. But I never thought of myself as more like of a businessman. I thought of just myself as a hustler. You know, I'm working at one job, then I had another job, then I'm doing these T-shirts on the weekends. But what's interesting was when I hung out with these people, they get a car in. I'm buying, fixing, selling them. They just tear it apart. He's like, oh yeah, the engine's already sold. Oh, this guy wanted to come pick up the wheels. So this car's already poured out before it even got there. They bought a car that they needed because people would call for parts. And so I remember just seeing their ins and outs of a business. And I saw multiple of these businesses, recyclers and Rancho. And one of them was really super clean, everything on the shelf, everything like SKU numbers, everything. Other place was just like a mess. It was mayhem, but they were still making money. So both are making money. One just had everything on the shelf and everything was perfect. Floor was clean. Other guy had a pile of engine harnesses and all engines everywhere. And it was just a mess, but they're both making money. And so I was like, wow, I was like, these guys are doing something in the same like sphere of work, but I didn't have to fix anything. So I was at my parents' house, and then my buddy's just like, you know, you could buy cars, auction everything, and then part them out, you know? So I bought my first Lexus. It was a GS 300. It was a 98. And I bring it to my parents' house. It has a 2JZ non-turbo in it. And I remember just stripping that thing in the parents' garage. I got a cherry picker, pulled the engine with my buddy.
It was a Nissan?
It was a Lexus GS 300. So Toyota. So the Supras have.
We'll have to edit that out.
So the 2JZs, the Supras,
super motor, yeah,
but it has the non-turbo, so it's like the GS 300. So I ended up pulling the engine, selling the catalytic converters, selling interior pieces, opened up an eBay account and started posting parts. And I was doing that for probably like it was a 98 GS 300, right there, like on the right, one of those, lower. But yeah, like that. And so it was like one of those, and it was all black, and I ended up parting it out. And I remember my neighbors thinking, what is this guy doing? Because I'm pulling out just a shell out of the garage, and the car came in, so I'm like just stripping this thing. And I just enjoyed it. Yeah. I'm like, I don't have to put any of these car parts back. Because all these time I was taking them off, and then the bad ones, and I'd fix them in my parents' garage. Now I'm just like, and the thing is, it was so crazy. Within 1 year, my parents' garage was just full of parts and motors and transmissions. And I remember my parents looking at me like every nook and cranny had parts in it.
Oh, God.
They looked at me, and the good thing is they had a 3-car garage, so it was a big garage. But the neighborhood they live in is North Natomas. People looked at us like we're crazy because nobody's doing anything from their house. They have just a few cars in their garage, whatever, right? And I always had a bunch of cars for sale. And then I would have the parts in the garage. So you can't use the garage for parking your cars. And now I have all these cars for sale in the front and then the parts in the garage. So my parents looked at me like, you got to do something about this. Like, you can't just keep, you know. And it was like a year in, I started looking for a shop. Mm-hmm. And a buddy of mine who was painting cars in Pleasant Grove was saying that he's moving to LA. And he said, if you want, you could take over my lease. Oh. And he's all like, you know, just give me a couple $1,000 for the materials inside. It has like lights in it, a few tools, like a toolbox. It was like an older Husky. And I said, okay. So that was 2018. I ended up just moving into his shop and bringing all my stuff. I bought an older Tacoma off of Craigslist, and I put all my parts in it. And I just did a bunch of like, runs from the house to the shop. And my brother helped me build a little office and started parting cars out. But I still couldn't stop selling cars. I enjoyed the flip, even though it wasn't a lot of money. I just kept buying and selling cars, fixing them and painting them. And so that was just like a transition of buy, sell, buy, fix, sell. I enjoyed that. But at the same time, I was parting the cars out. And I saw that the money was there. It just had to be on a larger scale. I couldn't do everything myself,
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so at what point, because when I was in Chico, my roommate at the time, we did that. Mm-hmm. But we only bought the cars that were like, it had a blown motor. Yeah. And we usually tried to stick with BMWs because they hold their value the most. And if you just throw a new motor in them, you could get a motor anywhere. Yeah, for those. It's usually just the 3 Series. Yeah. A lot of times convertibles too. Like convertibles will sell very well.
You were in California.
Yeah. Exactly. And so, we did that. And sometimes like he'd come to me and be like, "Hey, I got to have you buy this car because I'm already at my limit." You know, because you got to get that. I think it's 10 a year, and you need dealer license, right?
Yeah, you can sell 5 a year, like registered. So I'm saying like people think that like you can register onto yourself. A lot of flippers, what they'll do is they'll buy a car and they'll sell it without transferring to your name. So technically it was never yours, you know? So if it's a bill of sales in your name and you transfer from you to that, it was never registered in your name.
Yeah.
So you still have a bill of sale going from the owner to you, from you to the next person. So you can sell as many of those as you want. You can't sell a car from that person to the next person legally because you're not the owner. But if you have a bill of sale, then it's a legal transfer. And so you can sell as many as you want. But if you were to buy, register, and sell, only 5 legally.
So if you do it the right way, you're limited.
Yeah.
Well, what was this guy doing it the right way then?
So the thing is, if you register them, then like registered 5 cars a year, then you're doing like sketchy stuff. You need a dealer, stuff like that. But if you're buying them, fixing them, and then you still have the bill of sale, it's a car, if the car's registered, of course, not buying one that's not registered. And then you have a bill of sale in your name, technically you're a legal owner. And 30 days, according to like insurance, is you're insured. You don't have to even put on your insurance because if you have a policy, when you buy a new vehicle, 30 days the car is insured under you until you put it in your name. You know, until you go to DMV, stuff like that. That's like insurance companies work. Once that bill of sale, that date, 30 days from there, you're insured. So there's a lot of loopholes. And there's a lot of YouTube videos now, TikTokers and all that stuff. They're putting up like Instagram reels of them like buying a car, fixing and selling it, you know. And so there's like people giving advice all over the place, but you have to be, you know, careful with what advice.
Oh yeah,
take.
I mean, there's some TikTok videos that is like, oh, if your car is making a noise, just put some sand in it, or you know, like shit like that. And it's like, oh my god, holy shit! I wonder how many people actually do that because it's not zero. Yeah. It's more than zero, right? It's got to be. There's one person out there who does every single stupid shit that they have on TikTok, and
it says like, you know, like when you're driving somewhere and it says no churning here, and it's a river, and you're like, why do they have that sign there? Because somebody drove into it.
Yeah, because see that there's a truck down there. You can't see it now, but it's under the water.
So they're like, we pulled too many out. You know, we're gonna put this sign right here, no right turn. You know, so I mean, every video there's gonna be somebody who's gonna do it. You know, so you know that like cinnamon challenge. People put that whole spoon of cinnamon in their mouth and then they just cough it up everywhere. Somebody made that up just to have a good quick laugh. You know,
I did it.
See,
I did it. It was back in the day.
You know, but that's what I'm saying. Like somebody made that up and then everybody followed. And I'm saying like it's not, and that one was probably 80 out of 100 people, you know?
Yeah.
Then there's those like 1 out of 100 that will do the dumb thing.
Yeah, that was, I thought that was kind of like the more innocent ones. It was like not that I was not like popping Tide Pops.
Yeah.
So there's a spectrum.
Yeah, that's a funny one. You know?
Because it's like, you probably like, and every time you talk, it's like
the marshmallow challenge is hilarious too when they keep shoving marshmallows in their mouth, how many marshmallows they can fit, and they have to say something, and they're
Chubby Bunny.
Yeah.
And there's people just laughing so hard because there's this funny big old cheeks.
I'm sure somebody's died doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
I did that to my dad actually when I was I like my cousin who's like 8 years older than me. I was probably like 4 at the time, so he was 12. And so my dad was asleep on the chair, just like passed out, like with his mouth open, and we had little marshmallows, right?
Yeah.
So we filled them up in his mouth and put them in his ears and his eyes, and then we put them in his nose, and he woke up. He was pissed. He was furious. But we laugh about it now, of course. And but yeah, that was those challenges they get out of hand, but I think sometimes they're not completely like grassroots. Like somebody's just out there like, I bet I could get them doing some stupid shit. They
have like 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Just like, what can I think of today?
Just the dumbest shit.
No, it's like you have to watch whatever is on the internet, and especially because what's interesting is pretty much all kids are on the internet these days too. Teenagers younger than 8-9 years old, and it's like sometimes they'll watch like the dumbest stuff and they'll go try to do it. Like I remember there's a video online of some kid jumping off a 2-story building and like spinning and like I don't know, he was like Superman, and I'm just like, you can't put this stuff online. He has like a cape on.
Yeah,
kids are jumping off the roof.
Well, I like to show my kids like that video, and then show them like them operating on somebody's knee and then like taking it apart. And he's like, oh, this is how it works. This is start to finish.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's like, oh God. Yeah, that's not a good idea. That is funny to watch though. So yeah, watch it.
Or like the free climbers. Have you seen those videos where they climb the skyscrapers or the cranes? Like that's so dangerous.
That makes my palms sweat.
Yeah.
You know, just watching them do it and then you read somewhere that someone like this was the last video they took and it's just
yeah. So you know what's funny is I said that and then I remembered one video me and my buddies did. It's actually still on YouTube. You can look it up. We climbed the Yellow Bridge in downtown.
In Sacramento?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And so I forget what he posted up, but just put in like Sacramento Yellow Bridge climb. But we climbed it and he recorded on a GoPro. I don't know what was the name of the video. But yeah, it was we climbed it. It was at night and he climbed it prior by himself. And he said, I know a cool place we can go and like, you know, have a good time. And we ended up climbing it, all four of us. And so he was in the beginning, and then the video it's like not that long. He cut it up, but you could pretty much see the whole video. I'm gonna look it up right now, bro.
Oh, look at this one.
Oh, climbing the Golden Gate. That's on a different level.
So the video is called Mission Possible, Sac Tower Bridge. Interesting thing is he like first video he put up with our faces. He ended up blurring them out because we had so many news stations hit us up.
This one?
Yeah. So many news stations hit us up about putting the video on their like news channels.
Oh shit.
And then we were on the news. We were on the news probably like Fox 40, KCRA 3, and a few other ones. And then they even talked to the bridge guy who like, you know, controls the bridge. Like, where were you? Because when we walked by the place,
Stand by.
when we walked by the like booth, there was nobody in it on the middle of the bridge. So somebody wasn't doing their job or missing. But yeah.
Oh, so damn, that's too bad that it came back at him. Can't some people just have some fun without it be anybody's problem? Like, just if they fell off the bridge, then you fell off the bridge. You know, like you knew what the risks were.
Yeah, what's interesting is like there are people asking us like in the comments, how'd you guys get on top? But you can see from the get-go we're walking, and then we climbed a little like it looks like stairs like on the side. Yeah, and so we like walk up, and then we climb it on the side, and then yeah, so we like walk all the way. So you can like skip to like maybe like a minute. Yeah, right there. So and then the music starts playing, and then there's a spot. He's like, we climb right here. And he's the only one with gloves.
You guys climb that shit without gloves?
Yeah. The funniest thing is like you're climbing and there's pigeons flying everywhere, and there's just bird poop
Y'all
everywhere.
are crazy, bro.
So yeah, so we ended up climbing, and there's like a ladder that we like. There's like you go up to the top with, probably like a service ladder. And so we climbed around like the little gate that closes it, and we climbed up into the gate, and see there's a little staircase right there. And so yeah, and so it was 9 years ago. Wow.
How old were you when you were doing this?
21.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm 30 this year. So it was a good time. I mean, like it was such an adrenaline.
Is this incriminating?
I don't know.
At this point, no, he's already been on KCR3, right?
Yeah. The thing is, when we put it up, the first thing that the the guy who like operates the bridges like, oh, kids be climbing it all the time. It's okay. You know?
Well, and also, what are the statute of limitations on this? Because this is 9 years ago. And of course, it could have been filmed even before that.
Yeah.
That's true.
This is a mock-up of the bridge. This isn't the actual bridge.
Filmed off site.
This is in Mexico.
Yeah, this is in that city China built to make it look like Sacramento.
Yeah. But yeah, so pretty much it was such a adrenaline rush, and I mean like I've never done anything like this, you know. So it was the first time, like, you know, going beyond the limits, your own limits, you know. And so, but yeah, the guy who's in the front of the video, like this guy with the GoPro on, like he was doing it like he's done it multiple times, and this is his second time, you know. And we're just following him. We're like, dude, this is crazy. Like we felt like, you know, it was so cool because like once you climb around this thing, you're like around the like security lock. You're just climbing up a ladder.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like if you fall,
Yeah.
you're not necessarily falling all the way down.
No. There's so many like things that like there's like little barriers, little bridges. I mean, we're going up the service. We're not climbing on the side of the bridge, right?
Yeah.
We're going up a service ladder. So I mean, like, yeah, it's still sketch because I'm sure like people who are climbing, they probably have like some kind of harness that they keep connecting somewhere.
Yeah.
Because the ladder's super high up. But I don't know. It was cool. So me, my brother, a buddy of mine, and his friend that I met the first time that night. And
It almost
yeah,
seems
look,
like,
see like pigeons flying around. I thought
Yeah.
it was a bat at first. I was like,
it almost seems like it's easier to climb right here than it is that first 20 feet.
yeah.
That first 20 feet was super sketch.
Yeah, but the thing is that first 20 feet, it's like such, it feels like it's like a smaller ladder. And so
Oh.
like your feet like perfectly go into it. So I mean, like it didn't even feel that sketchy. And then once you get up here, you just don't want to look down.
Yeah, you never do.
You see how far it is down once you're just climbing. And then the funniest thing, he stops the video and he goes, "They coming?" You know, because like you just can't see the other two, you know? And so I look down, I'm like, yeah, they're coming. And so he keeps climbing and the music goes back on.
That middle thing must be what they hooked the harness
That's
to.
what I'm talking about. So we didn't have that. So I mean, it's cool. I felt like some kind of he put Mission Possible.
Yeah.
It's not like Mission Impossible kind of stunt movie type of deal.
Yeah, it's like the Tom Cruise stuff that you could do at home.
Yeah. So it was a good time. It was a good time, man. And the thing is, like 17,000 views. We had like 10,000 views within like the first 2 weeks. So I mean, the
shit.
7,000's been since then, but so many people watched it and so many comments and so many people said, "I want to do this."
Oh God. Oh shit. Check out the comments. Look at the comments here. Let's see what people.
Finally, someone got reclined the bridge GoPro. Thanks, bro. Zach with it in this town. This is what Huck and Finn would have done.
Is there anybody that says that they want to do this? Because let's see if they did it.
Yeah. Because we all the way to the top, and then that's when the view starts. But yeah, it's super cool. You guys made a paper, SAG B or Asian 1B1. They don't find you guys.
Oh, you used local music for it too, huh?
Yeah. He used some guy. Yeah.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Nice touch.
Yeah. He likes that kind of stuff where he incorporates somebody local. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's important. That's kind of the key. I mean, have you visited a couple of the shops in downtown Sacramento?
Like stores.
Like there's that costume store. I think it's like Madame Tussauds, or it's spelt like Tussauds. It's
No, I haven't heard of that one. I went to a place, I forget what it's called. Some not Good Times. I forget but it was like a store. They had like their own shirts and brand. It was like their own brand, and it didn't go here, but they have a huge store in Japan now.
Oh, really?
So they started here, and we went there. It was next to Pete's Coffee, in that little like area, that street, and they had their own little shop. And they didn't just take off here for some reason, but Japan loved it, and so they have a huge store over there now.
We need to start dubbing in Japanese.
So yeah, so pretty much we went to the top, and then the little red light is blinking. That like the very top for airplanes or helicopters and stuff. Yeah, and so we're like up there, and like we're like dabbing each other up. It was just like felt like so badass up there, overlooking downtown from like this high peak wind is blowing. It was something else. But yeah, so I mean, like you're 20, 21, and like you don't really care about like the bad possibilities. You don't outweigh the pros and the cons. You're just like,
oh yeah,
let's just go.
No, I mean, there's. Yeah, when you're around that age, like that 16 to 21 age, that's like, because you got a car, and then you get like, and then you can be alone, you can have your own place, and then you can start to drink too, and it's like, all that shit starts coming on. You start experimenting with what you can really do and what you can really get away with, I mean, I remember I did some crazy shit. I never did anything that was, I think, like that dangerous, but... I used to go around and not steal, but like liberate construction equipment. Not like tools or anything, but like a bobcat. Mm-hmm. And so I remember there was one time when me and my buddy, who I won't say his name now, but about the same size, both kind of like front loaders with the bucket.
Yeah.
And so immediately we look at each other and we're like, So I ran to the Caterpillar, he ran to the Bobcat, and it was a race against time to see who could figure out how to get it started first. And so like the keys were in there, right? Because this is back in, I think 2000, maybe 5 or 4.
Yeah.
No, it was, yeah. Oh, it was like, no, 2003 or something like that. So they had the keys in them back then.
Yeah.
Nobody used to steal them, you know?
Yeah.
So we get in there, start them up, and like we're trying to figure out how they work, right? And then immediately like start going towards each other. And I put the bucket down, right? And I get him in the bucket and I'm pushing it up and I put him in the hole. I put this thing like at like back facing, like he's facing up in the hole. And I'm like, oh shit, we got to get the fuck out of here. You know?
Like bumper cars.
Yeah. Like battle bots. But like with real life. Kind of like those things in Alien.
Yeah,
you know, where
yeah,
she fights the queen in that
okay,
thing.
yep.
Yeah, I was like, but you have to figure out how to use it. So that's also part of the race. You know, it's that like first it's the running race and who could get there first, and then it's the starting it and figuring it out race. So that's the mental part.
Yep.
And then you have the mechanical part where it's like you gotta actually drive it and fight with it. You know, and I mean, I imagine because it's done now. So the construction's done now, obviously, but I don't know how they got that out of there. It would have been hard, you know, because you can't get a crane down there.
You like show up the next day, like you're like, oh, so how you guys, how's progress going? You know, just like another clerk.
Show up in like some swim trunks and some sandals and like sunglasses and like, hey, I'm ready to swim. You know, but there was one girl that was with us that saw it. And like, she's the only one to this day that's like, I can't believe you guys fucking did that. You know, because we used to go to like the street races and things like that, even though I only had a car with 96 horsepower.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't race it. I just was watching.
What was it, a Toyota Corolla or Honda Civic?
It was should I tell him, Drew?
Tell him.
It was a 93 Ford Tempo.
I don't even know what that is. Pull it up.
Silver bullet.
Bring it up. Bring it up.
94?
Yeah, 93.
93.
Yeah, it's white and it had red velvet interior. This thing, when I got it, because it was a 93, like I said, and I got it in maybe 2002. This only had 35,000 miles on it.
This thing right here, look.
Yeah, it was that top one. Yeah. Yep, that's it. See, yeah, if you can get an interior shot. But man, I had that thing. I had jumped it one time, like because there's this
breaks
point.
in half.
No, well, almost. So I had my buddy in the car with me, and he's like 6'7", right, big dude. And there's this part where it's a dip, then a speed bump right after.
Red?
Yeah, red. It was the red.
Ew.
Yeah, dude, that was it. Look at that.
Ew.
What the fuck is that?
Hell yeah, that's red velvet, son.
Where's the front seat? You got the front seat? Like the dashboard's red too, huh? Like there, that one at the top?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a more civilized time.
God.
It was a more civilized time, you guys. You know? Fucking, it doesn't get better than that. That is pinnacle. That's pinnacle design right there.
Oh man. So
Man.
you took this jump and what?
Yeah, so I took this jump and my buddy, you know, he first like hits his head on the roof and then he goes back, hits his head on the dash and I smash down, shatter the oil pan, right? It's leaking oil all the way. So I go to this gas station, fill it back up enough to where I can get back to my house. And then I park the car and get in. You know, when you're like, I don't know, 16 or 17, you park the car and it's parked and you forgot about it, you know? So my stepdad comes out and he's like, what the fuck is all this? And it looks like the Exxon Valdez is out there, right? Just right in my court. And they never did get all the oil out of there. But, you know, there's still like a stain. And, you know, $900 later, I had a new oil pan. And, you know, I added a couple transmissions to that one too. You know, it's front wheel drive. And so when you have your first car, that's when you do all the experiments, right?
Yeah, what's interesting, I drove my mom's van because you said oil pan. Right away, I remembered a scenario in my life. I pulled up on my mom's van to like this steep driveway at my uncle's house, and I just pulled in like crazy, you know, and I hit this like oil pressure valve on top bottom of the oil pan, and it just breaks off, and it just leaks all the oil in his driveway. And it was like the worst situation because I came to help them with something, and I had been in this mess in the driveway.
What'd you come to help him with?
He needed something moved from the inside to the outside in. I forget what it was. It was some kind of patio set. But I ended up pulling up another mess on his driveway, all the oil out of my van. So we in neutral pushed it down, pushed it to the side of the road. He puts all this like oil, like sand litter, cat litter stuff, all over it. And then what am I supposed to do with the van? Like, this thing is broken. I don't know what to do. So my buddy had a uncle who had a shop. It was in West Sacramento down the street. And so they AAA towed it there. And then I ended up finding the parts, and I ended up changing it myself. It was like 212s. You unscrew it, put this new oil filler, like level sensor, and then screwed it back in and filled up the oil, and the car was good. But the thing was like, it was like this horrific scene. The van just pulls out, and there's just like this whole sludge of oil from his driveway. And the thing is, it was a nice new neighborhood with nice driveways. So it wasn't like no oil was on at all.
Until that day.
Yeah. And so he put the cat litter, and then me and my dad went and bought like a concrete wash. And then we came and we brushed it on, let it sit for a while, and then washed it. It never got all of it out. You know, you never can. You have to like respray it or like redo the concrete. But it was just like these like lighter like stains in his driveway. But I think he was in rent, so pretty much he moved out of there and he bought a new house, so it's all good now. But I remember him just like being like, "Nobody park in the driveway since that day. Park on the side of the street."
Yeah. Oh God, you went in his driveway.
I like took a hard turn, and I guess that like up and then straight was so sharp, and there was like a higher end house. I don't know, but that oil just barely tapped it, and it just broke off.
Did you find it?
Yeah, but the thing was, it was a little piece. It was like this small, and it just like all the oil kept gushing out. I was like, that's like a manufacturer defect. I was like, lower than the oil pan by like this much, and it just broke off. It was a 97 Nissan Quest. My mom's old van. I was schmobbing it because people would have like older Civics, stuff like that, and they have little 4-cylinders. I had this V6, you know, and I'm just like, you know, it was a burgundy. It was like that one right there, right here, lower. That one, yeah.
Wow.
Like this, like red, you know.
It's like a Toyota Previa.
Yeah. And so that thing was just fast, and it was just so funny because like I was just driving everywhere with it, and then it just broke that thing off. And I ended up fixing it and kept driving it. Got me from point A to point B, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real trick.
Yep, and it wasn't slow either. It was a nice, like, you know, V6 in there, and it was, my mom took good care of it, you know. She got a newer car, so I was like, boom, free car.
Respect the van.
A lot of friends in there, too. We had all those nights where we were just like, I took the seats out, so we just fit a bunch of people in the back, you know, and I just drive people around, and like, we'd go like to the bowling alley, and then when everybody get in my van, I'd take them to the next house that we were hanging out at, and it was just at one time, remember, we had like probably like 10 people in the back, 3 in the front, and somebody's getting out of the van and another person's getting out, like some in and then out. So when the person's getting out, he takes the door and he just starts sliding it back, and the girl's fingers are still in the door jamb. And just smacks the fingers, and it was like just the tips, but like it was like all swollen and bloody. I remember just being like, "What's going on back there?" You hear the screaming, you know, they're like, she's gushing, you know, like,
oh my God.
And I'm like the driver, like, get out of the van, because I'm worried about blood and stuff, you know. But I ended up just going to the gas station, and then like we got like somebody ate a popsicle, and then we just put the 2 fingers together, and then we wrapped them up with some not duct tape, electrical tape, and then just we kept having fun. Like,
there you go.
Like, we're all like, "You're good," you know, because nothing was broken. It was just like really hard, you know, bruised, bloody.
Man, that chick's a trooper.
Yeah, it was my buddy's girlfriend. She was pretty cool, but yeah, it was so funny because like when it happened, she was screaming, and then everybody's like screaming, you know, and then it just like calmed down, and I was just like, "We're gonna take care of this." But a lot of fun times because like nobody else had a van.
Yeah,
I was the only one with the van. So
yeah, I had a Suburban. That was kind of it filled that kind of same purpose. Mm-hmm. But the only problem was over time it did not have it didn't have reverse, and it didn't have
get out and push it.
It didn't have 4th gear or 2nd gear. So it
Save
was,
that gas.
It was only on 1st. And so when I was parking somewhere and I had to like pull out of a spot, I had to like put it in neutral, run around, push it, run around again, get in, and like kind of like get enough momentum so I could kind of steer it, and then put it in drive. And it was like driving a pirate ship. You know, it was kind of cool.
Huge.
Yeah, it was because it's big. You know, it was the kind with the double doors that open up.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, a lot of friends in there, a lot of people throwing up in the back seat. But you know, for it not to have reverse, that was what really made it an interesting car. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like I was you know, hot rodding around or doing stupid shit for the transmission to go off.
Yeah.
All I did was creep over this speed bump in my apartment complex. I guess I crept over it too slow, and it was like, pew! And that was it.
No more reverse.
No more reverse. And because I was like, huh, that was weird. And I tried to go like push the gas to go. I was like, oh, still works. All right, parked it, pulled in my parking spot. Next day, it just revs in reverse, you know. So, but eventually, I think, end up trading it for a motorcycle.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
what kind of motorcycle?
it was a Suzuki RF 900R. So see if you can pull up one of those.
What year was it?
It was a 94 or 94 or 97. I think it was actually 97. But you know, it's not like it's a
97 what?
Suzuki RF 900R. It's like a kind of like a sport tourer. It's not very fun as far as like putting the wheels down and stuff like that. Yeah, it was that red one right there. Yeah, just like that.
Which one?
Bottom.
The red
Middle.
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, look just like that. And, you know, it was fast enough because it was a leader bike, kind of. It was a 937cc, but it was about the same speed as like a newer style R6. So it wasn't like leader bike fast, but it was fast enough to where it could still be fun.
Yeah.
You know, and like I had a helmet that was my Green Ranger helmet that's over there.
Okay.
Wearing that one, you know, schmobbing around.
Yeah.
I rented a George Washington costume one time. I was riding around with that. Pulled the front wheel up one time at a light with the wig, the powdered wig dangling, you know, in the wind.
Yeah.
Sweet. But you know, I never told my mom that I had a motorcycle because she was always scared to death, right? Because I had flipped my Camaro and, you know, it was all kinds of things. And
she's like, you're not the one to have a bike.
yeah. And so I got one because it was like, my roommate had a bike. And so he was like, you should get a bike too. I was like, all right.
See, those are the logic that's thrown out the window. He has a bike.
All right.
I need a bike.
I need a bike. What I don't need is old 2-gear, no reverse. That's what I don't need.
Let her go.
You know? So I had to trade it in, got the bike, and it was like, you know, got like 35 miles a gallon. And it was cool because you get to ride around, you got to zoom around. And I just remember one day I was riding home from school on the freeway in the rain, and started to rain. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, fuck this. If I get home, I'm selling this shit. And I did. And I never got another bike after. Well, actually I did. Actually before this, I had a CBR 929 RR. Mm-hmm. Never
those
ran.
Are quick, huh?
Yeah, never really ran completely right. And it was kind of like, didn't have the front headlight, and it was like Street Fighter, kind of like it had been fucked with heavily.
It's like just a janky, like little.
Yeah, and so I never had the confidence to really take it out and see what it could do. But this, it was fine. I took it out and see what it could do, and it's like, it was fast enough. You know, it was quick, and you know, it was a little faster than my car with the nitrous. You know, so it was like fast enough, but it was cool to just get on the bike and go.
Yeah.
Right. And to be able to like park anywhere you want.
And zoom through traffic.
Well, but there wasn't really a whole lot of traffic in Chico. You know, you might have a couple cars on the freeway that you just.
So you lived all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cause you're like, I was in, you know, Watsonville. Then, you know, you're like over here in Bay Area. Then you're in Chico. So you're moving around a lot.
I've lived on all four sides of the Bay and up and down. And yeah,
Have you ever lived SoCal?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't dabble there. I like to have my water close.
You're a NorCal boy.
Yeah.
Grew up all up atop of NorCal. But you ever went up to Oregon, Washington, or no?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I just got back from a business trip over there where I flew from So flew from Sacramento to Seattle, then Seattle to Bellingham, Washington. So right at the very tip, right near the Canadian border.
Yep.
And I drove down to like basically the California border with Medford, Oregon, so kind of southern Oregon. And that took about a week to drive down because I had to visit like 40 or 50 places in between. So like I had to plan it out to where like I'm staying in a hotel that's in a different city that I'm landing in that day. And there's places to visit on the way. So I land, change my clothes, go visit some places, get to the hotel, and then I could relax and go like have a beer or whatever,
Yeah.
But it was like, it was constantly being on, and constantly being on the run, packing up all your shit every day, and I brought my Nintendo Switch with me, because I hook it to the TVs and I play it there. It's a good little thing to do to unwind. And the kids aren't around, the wife's not around. I certainly miss them. I wish they were, but they just weren't. And that last day, though, I was staying in Eugene, and my rental car was a little Nissan Versa, right? 109 horsepower, little deal. A 2020 car with 109 horsepower, you're trying to make it slow at that point. But anyway, so I'm in Eugene, and I have a flight to catch out of Medford at 2. And so I leave Eugene. I have to go to Bend first. So that's about a 2.5 hour drive to Bend.
Yeah.
Visit a couple places there, and then have to go to Medford, which is a 3.5 hour drive. So I'm hauling ass there, right? And it's cold, and like I could see on the car's thermometer, it's like 24 degrees outside. So I'm like, oh shit, if the roads are wet, they're not just wet.
Yeah.
And so it started to warm up a little bit when I started to get really into Medford, and I just really had to make sure I made that flight. And so I'm hauling ass, right? Just that thing is being beat within an inch of its life. And I'm trying to get there. And at one point, there's no cars anywhere, and it's warmed up past freezing, right? And there's the sun shining. So I'm like, all right, now it's time to put that real pedal to the metal, see what all these 109 horses can do.
You remembered your Ford, huh?
Yeah. Well, that was 96 horsepower. So this is a little step up. It's just that one little step up, but it had a CVT transmission. So it's like, it feels like it's never really going fast because you don't get that jolt. You don't get that.
Did you get the jolt in the Ford?
I did.
Every single time, huh?
Mostly because a lot of times because the transmission mount kept breaking. Story for a different time though. Neutral drops in a front wheel drive. You put a couple transmissions in there and you learn your lesson.
Yeah.
But so yeah, this thing, dude, I was hauling ass in this thing, and there was a point where like I was just driving in the like snowbank on like 8-foot snowbank on both sides. There's nobody there. I'm just putting that pedal all the way down, and it just looks like I'm in the Death Star trench, and I'm just waiting for that exhaust port, and I'm like, and like everyone's like, use the force, and I'm just like, okay, I just don't crash, and just hauling ass. And so I finally get there, and I'm like, just made my flight, just made it in time to like return the rental car, change my clothes into like something comfortable to wear on the plane.
Yeah.
And check my luggage and get out of there. It was, and people were like, oh, that'll be fun. And it was fun to like visit stuff after like 5 or 6 and like go to one place, go to like walk to one place and go see what people do. I didn't want to like stay at hotels that were like the Marriott or like the Holiday Inn or something like that. I stayed at like random places, right?
Yeah.
Like the first day I stayed at this place in Everett, and it was like right next to the docks and everything. It was right in the harbor. And there was all these dock workers that were staying there, and it's like classic dock worker outfit too. So they had like these coveralls, right? The tan coveralls with the no sleeves, and they have, of course, like everybody has this black sweatshirt that they wear and this knit cap, and they're all dressed the same, Thought that was kind of interesting. But then I think a couple days later, I went down to I think it was in Eugene, and I go to this bar, right? And there's like maybe 2 people sitting at the bar, and there's like a table here with people, but nobody else is really in there. Then, it's like 5:30. 5:30 comes around, and all of a sudden, all these like people that were pretty old, like nobody's under 70. And they're coming in there and they're like, this waitress is asking him like, do you have a reservation? A reservation? There's nobody here. Why do they need a reservation? You know, but they're like, yes. Yeah. Yeah, you have a reservation for this sports bar at 5:30 on a Thursday. Like and so like it wasn't just them. It must have been like 20 or 30 of these people coming in. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I asked the bar, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And they're like, oh, the symphony's across the street. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't really answer my question. Like, okay, that's why all the old people are coming in. But why of all places are they choosing a sports bar to go into? And they're all making reservations here, you know, and you're like putting them in this back room. I'm like, are they being harvested for their organs? You know, well, why are they all here? But apparently it's a thing that everybody does. After the symphony, all the people, they go in there and they're all dressed very nice. They go in there and I don't know, they play bridge.
Just go to the sports bar.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, anything to get that military industrial complex money. You know what I'm saying?
So you just went out there, just kind of like, it was like a road trip, stop at all these spots and get back home.
Yeah. Stop at all the spots, get back home. But the thing is, like, the funny thing is, you know, it took 2 flights up to get there, you know, Sacramento to Seattle, then to Bellingham. So on the way down, it was Medford, back up to Seattle, and then from Seattle to Sacramento.
So those layovers.
Yeah. I mean, and that was lame, but you know, you have enough time to get a beer, maybe a little sandwich.
Yeah. It's interesting. Not everybody flies to Sacramento. So that's why. So Medford probably doesn't fly to Sacramento. They probably fly to SFO, San Francisco or Oakland. But yeah, so you'd have to fly back to Seattle. That's interesting. Yeah, I used to work a lot of different events. So I did a lot of driving. And so it would be like driving out from, you know, Sacramento, and then we'd drive to LA, Sacramento to Salt Lake, Sacramento to Reno. A lot of LA events, some in Stockton, some in Modesto, Davis, kind of like all over Sacramento area. And it was just like you get a van, they fill your van up with t-shirts, sweatshirts, a heat press, a tent, and iPad for like all the, you know, like first it was like a credit card machine, but then they got iPads. And then you just pull up to an event, you have your grid wire, you have your tent, and you set up a store. So if I got in the evening, I'm setting up the store at this park in the evening, and then I put up all the grid wire, make it all temp. I take up all the materials and I keep them in the van. In the morning, I show up at 7 a.m. I get all the mannequin like half bodies out, put all the sweatshirts, t-shirts on them, and I heat press the logos on, kind of like the logo you're wearing right now. So it was just like heat pressed on, and then we just have all these t-shirts, sweatshirts up on like the grid wire. And then just the kids would come up and they'd be like, how much does it cost? This and this. And then we could put like their roster, all the team names on the back of the sweatshirt. We could put different logos on the sleeves. And yeah, I did that for like about 4 years. And it was just weekends pretty much. Sometimes it'd be like a week long event. We did like police and fire in LA. And it was like in downtown. And it was all different countries. Flew in for like the police and fire Olympics. And so that was pretty cool.
Probably the safest event that could possibly happen.
Yeah. It was interesting. We had like people from Africa or like people from, you know, Australia, and they would just be like, you know, trying to trade something like you know, from their work or something like that for a sweatshirt, because
barter.
They're not cheap. They're like a $60 sweatshirt or $100 zip up, you know, like nice quality ones, but they don't have the money to spend because they spend on this flight, on the hotels, everything. And then, you know, so we got pretty cool trades in that, you know, time. So, but I did that for about 4 years, and then that's when I got the shop, and I was just like, I can't keep, you know, giving my weekends. I'm working Monday through Friday. Plus, these weekends I had no life, and so, but yeah, it was a fun little gig. But yeah, just getting in the van and just driving, you know, straight shot to Phoenix, Arizona, and just like 10, 12-hour drive. And I remember just like sometimes it'd be like, you can stop and, you know, sleep, whatever. But I just drive out, you know, 8 p.m. and at 9 a.m. I'd be there already, because they were like 1 hour ahead or forward, I forget. But it was just like I would pull up, and then, you know, I have an event the next day. So I'd get some sleep, go to the event, set up this tent, and, you know, sell, and then get back, and I'd get 10% commission. So if the event did really well, I could have done really well. So if, let's say, the event did $15K, I'd come home after 2 days of work, $1,500. There's events that I went, and it was like a 2-day event. I made like $20-something thousand in sales. Come back to a $2,000 check. So I mean, like, the money I was making from any job I was doing Monday through Friday was nothing close to what I would do on a weekend.
Yeah, it would be hard to give that up.
Yeah, but the thing is, once you have your own business, you understand that like I have to put as much time and effort into this because it's mine. I'm helping somebody else's business grow. And even if it's good money, I mean, it wasn't always like that. Sometimes I'd go and invent and would do like $8,000. So if 2 days, $800. Sometimes I'd do like $5K, you know, it was like a minimum of $200 a day you'd make plus fees, all the gas, hotel and food was covered. But you're just like, you want to make as much as possible because you're giving up your whole weekend.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Monday, you know? So, but you just understand that like, I can't keep doing this long term, especially at the time I was single. But then when you get a girlfriend, she's like, what? You're working this weekend? You know? So like all that stuff really starts affecting your personal life, you know, when you're a workaholic. And I kind of was a workaholic because I'd be like working a job, then I'd be parting out a car or fixing a car. And then on the weekends I'm out. I had no other life, you know? So, but it was interesting. It was interesting to be able to see so many different parts of California. Go to, you know, Phoenix or Arizona or Tulsa, Arizona or LA or San Diego. And just being able to meet so many different people and interact with them and just being able to like, you're done with your work, 6 p.m., you close up the shop and you go downtown LA or San Diego or just go to the beach and come back to your hotel and turn something on TV, order some food in or bring some food with you. And you're just like hanging out in a different city, different state. And just like, I don't know, just like you're out of your comfort zone.
Like you're a stranger here.
Yeah.
You can be anonymous.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember one time the lady she bought some stuff and then the next day her husband told her you spent too much money so that she wanted to return, but it's all custom gear, right? See, we have a sign that says no returns. And so she comes like, I need a return. I was like, oh, we have no returns. And she's like, I need to talk to your manager, you know, and I'm the boss.
Yeah.
So I go to the back of the tent and they come back like, I heard you have an issue. I was like,
just had like a fake mustache on or something, like one of those disguises, you know? Or like just a tie, a clip-on tie.
She was furious. And I was just like, can't you see the sign that says no return? She's like, I'm going to hit up your company corporate or whatever. I was like, do what you got to do. I was like, this isn't my company. I was just like, I'm just here for the sales and I'm going home after this. So, but it was an interesting time, you know, so many cool people I've met. Sometimes I meet some people and then after work we'd go hang out together, you know, so like it was a good time, you know?
Yeah. I mean, so did you like, so you must have had like a laptop there that you could upload the logos to the heat press and then press them on when you're there?
The thing is, all the heat logos were pre-made. And so I had a file bin with numbers, and then I had like a chart that you can choose like number 5. And I'd go to number 5, pull it out, and I would put it on your logo. The roster was all the names for everybody. So you'd find your name on the roster. I could put a little star next to your name. So it was like that. So everything was pre-made. The only time we started making something on the spot is we had this machine, I forget what it was called. You could type a name in, and then it would print out the logo, and then I'd heat press it, and so you put your name on the back of your jersey or whatever.
Yeah, that's what we did at the 49ers. So we had that because, you know, for the cheaper kind of style football jerseys, they have just the heat press logo and the heat pressed name on it. So it prints it out and everything. But and I was the one to kind of get there and set it up. Yeah. And so some of the employees, when I was trying to figure out how to get, because my brother was having a kid and he was going to name her Zelda, right? And he did. Yeah. So shout out to Zelda. But is that camera going?
Nope, it must have died within the last 5 minutes.
Let's take a time out. Let's take time out and change camera batteries.
Yep.
And we're back. Last episode or a couple episodes ago, one of the guys was like doing this. Tapping. Yeah. And it was like, that was hard to edit out. You know?
Yeah.
You should have gave him a
and the whole time he was doing it, I was like, I wish you wouldn't. You know, because it's just afterwards there's a lot that goes into like getting this out, getting the out, you know?
Yeah. It's like, you know, when you watch some kind of video and there's some kind of person in the back, like what turns on the shower, or like, you know, somebody's doing outside and like some work is like a blower's coming by, you know, and somebody's doing, imagine how you have to like edit all that out too, you know? So
yeah. What were we talking about before the break? So that's right. So we were
talking about heat pressing, and you heat press. You said shout out to Zelda, and that's it.
We were talking about, of course, Zelda.
Yeah.
So we'll edit all that stuff out and just put this part in.
Yeah.
But so I had them try and make like a Triforce instead of a number for the back, you know? And so I was like, we didn't really have like the material just to cut it.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's fiddle around with the alphabet and what we can do. So turns out the Greek alphabet is what you want to do. You want to do the symbol for delta, the Greek delta. Print 3 of those out, and it's just a triangle. You know, you put those on there, and that was it. So she's got like a 49er jersey, no number, just has the Triforce on it and says Zelda.
That's pretty cool.
Like, that's, you know, it doesn't fit her anymore, you know, but
yeah. It's a cool timepiece.
yeah. But then at the A's, when I was there, they actually have the individual letters. So it makes it look like it's stitched on, you know?
Yeah.
And those are a lot easier to fuck up. And they're a lot more expensive because it's like $1 for one number.
Yeah.
You know, so you better hope your last name is like 4 letters. Because if you have that long name, and then you have the hyphen thing, which a lot of Hispanic people have, like the name, you know, it's very long. Sometimes with the hyphen thing in there, and it's like, and you're paying out the ass for these numbers, you know. But there's not really a whole lot of room on the jersey, and of course it's the A's, so there's not really a whole lot of fans. So
it's funny
anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. I mean, I think I talked about this in maybe an episode ago, but you know, they don't pay their players anymore. So, you know, when I was there, it was like there's 2,000 people in the stands sometimes, in a stadium or, you know, a coliseum that can fit like 70,000, you know?
Yeah.
And
how do they even have games anymore? They just because there's other rival teams that come, that's why?
Sometimes, yeah. So their big draws will be like if the Yankees are in town, or definitely the Giants, right? Because you go and see the Giants play at the A's, and it's kind of a better experience because it's better to park. There's a massive parking lot.
Yeah.
There's cheaper stuff there.
Yeah. Tickets are cheaper.
They do like upcharge for that game, but it's still cheaper than.
How's the arena compared? Because I've never been to the Oakland A's arena.
Oh, Oakland?
Yeah.
Man, you got to go there. So it's like the last place in California that you could go and you see a sporting event and you're like, man, this place doesn't breed confidence, you know, because there's like little tumors in the ground that, and they're in the asphalt, right? There's bubbles in the asphalt. I don't know if there's water in there or just air, but you can step on them and they will retain their shape after you get off of them. And it's just bubbles in the asphalt. It's just like things like that. And of
this
course,
is in the parking lot?
No, inside the stadium where you're walking around buying the hot dogs and the beer. Yeah. Go right. I think it's right next to Gate C. If you go in and you go left or right, but it's pretty close to that, look for a little tumor on the ground. People tripping over it. And like I made a comment last time, it's like I kind of just want to like cut it open and pop it like a zit, you know? But what are you going to cut asphalt with?
Yeah.
You know, and I imagine somebody probably thought of that, but probably not, because also another issue with...
Drill it.
You could drill it, but another issue with the Coliseum is that there's so much turnover with the management companies there, like with the concession companies and the retail companies, that nobody really takes a stake in the actual infrastructure there. Right. So all the data boxes are old as shit, you know, and all the wires, there's like tons and tons of legacy wiring, you know, and so it's just in there and it's just dead wiring. And you don't know what goes to what. And so rewiring all that stuff, every company that comes in rewires it for their own data.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just... It's kind of a mess, you know? But it is... I would recommend going there before they move, so you can just get that experience.
Did the Raiders play at the same arena?
Yeah, they did.
Okay, see, that's... I don't know if I think I might have been a game then there.
Oh, you didn't see the Raiders?
Yeah.
Yeah, then you've been there, but it's when they...
But that was a long time ago.
Well, the Raiders and the A's, so the A's... it's their house.
Yeah.
You know, but they had to share it with the Raiders.
Yeah.
Because
the field was just funky.
Yeah, and the groundskeeper.
Yeah.
It's the damn hardest working groundskeeper in sports, because this guy it was the last guy that had to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and he had to convert it from baseball to football, and then back to baseball, back to football when they had the,
and it's not an easy
converging
job
season.
because think about it, like in basketball arena, they do a concert, and then basketball, whatever, like they just take off the floor.
Yeah.
It's a freaking whole job.
Yeah. Well,
Making football arena out of a baseball arena.
yeah. And, I mean, this guy it was super cool groundskeeper too. And he had this really awesome dog that was like, had to be the happiest dog in the world. And you just like this golden retriever that would like be running all over the field wherever he wanted to. And the sprinklers would come on and be like trying to bite the sprinklers, how dogs do.
Yeah.
And, it was, I mean, you might be able to say that the guy who is the groundskeeper at the, what are those two? There's two football teams that share a stadium now. So there's the Jets and the Jets and Giants. Mm-hmm. They share a stadium. So that guy's got to like at least repaint it.
Yeah.
But nobody's got to do that anymore, because nobody shares a stadium with another.
Only basketball,
kind of
right?
team.
Clippers and Lakers.
Yeah, but they're the same sport.
Yeah.
So that's kind of,
They change out the blocks. It's a
Right.
different name.
Just change out the blocks. Yeah. But then, there's a big production that happens when football stadiums are transformed for concerts too.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put that tile all the way across, and
I've done it.
yeah. We have a resident right here. Why don't you speak on that a little bit, Drew?
I used to take the basketball floor up and put the tile down.
Where at?
At one of those, at the Oracle Arena.
Okay.
In Oakland.
Yeah.
So you would convert it from basketball to concert, and then you guys
Overnight.
convert it back.
Overnight. Oh, yeah. And we put it back. It'd be like a 36-hour day because I'd go to work on top of that.
Yeah. And people take that for granted. Like you go to a concert,
You have no idea what it is.
and the production that goes into that shit is insane.
I can't imagine how many people do the work. It's a lot of people, right?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
But it's a whole system, and like of everybody that came to the stadium to put a concert on, to Levi's to put a concert on, I've never seen anything quite like WWE.
Yeah.
Never in my life. Dude, they are so organized, and they're like, it's a military operation. It's one step from the military. The first thing that they have people come do, before they have executives come and talk and meet everybody, is they have a taping crew, right? This taping crew goes down to like the walkways underneath where all the stadium workers are, where all the kitchens are, where all the dressing rooms are, and everything like that. Tapes off things, tapes off dressing room, tapes off arrows on the ground to what you walk. Like, this is the lane for carts. This is the lane for walking. Like, tapes everything off. Then their IT team comes, and that was like kind of what I had to deal with. And so we had these trailers outside, and the WWE had a rule that they needed everything set on every device that had that could take credit card had to have their own IP address. Which is the right thing to do, but it's not the way that things are always done. Sometimes they have a rotating IP address. It's called DHCP. And when that's on, it's just kind of like it's a randomized IP address, and they can't track it. So I was like, there's no way to get a hard IP address out to these trailers. And they're like, well, let's just say there is a way. What do you need for it? And I was like, okay, well, if we're going to just say money's not an option, then there's this like kind of device. It's like a laser. It's like a line of sight transmission. So if we had like if we could transfer it from the inner kind of stadium to the trailers, as long as we had it outside and it was line of sight. And they're like, okay. And then I was like, but we don't have any of those. And they're like, oh, we could get them in here. All right, then let's do it. And he was like, okay. Next day they were there. And then he's like, hey, I noticed one of their IT guys came up to me. He was like, hey, I noticed that, we're kind of cut up against the wire. Do we need anything? I was like, yeah, we need like a couple extra people just to lay the wires and hang things up and just, set things up. And he's like, all right. 2 hours later, I got two guys, and they're like, all right. So, and they're like, know exactly what to do. And it's just the resources that the WWE has is insane. I felt like
it's like multi-billions, right?
It's unimaginable.
Yeah. It's insane. It's a one owner sports franchise. A sport.
Business.
Basically sport.
Yeah.
He owns the whole sport, or he used to. I don't know if he still does, right? Didn't he distance himself from that? Vince McMahon. But he
did.
We even had to set up a gym. Well, not me, but Stadium Ops did.
Yeah.
Like they had to set up a gym for Vince because he works out all the time, constantly. All these guys.
I'll be right in right now. Give me one more second. Need a few more pumps.
Yeah.
You know?
He's
probably a whole semi for it.
Yeah, he's a whole semi for it. And dude, it's seeing the wrestlers in person is cool too, because this is Hulk Hogan was still around. That's where I got the Hulkster right there. And of course, John Cena's over there, but you can't see him.
My dad has a John Cena shirt. He has no idea who it is, and it's funny because it's a silhouette of him, and it says "You can't see me," and then the back it says John Cena, big letters. But my brother keeps getting him different T-shirts. He's almost in his 60s, and he just doesn't care. He'll just wear whatever. He has another shirt. It's the Costco hot dog, and it says "Got that dog in me." So you're getting him all these funny shirts, and I think that's hilarious because he has no idea what the WWE. He never watched it. He likes sports. He's a big basketball fan. He knows everything about basketball. He loves football. He loves pretty much a lot of sports, and he's a big sports guy. But he just doesn't know much about whatever it's on his shirt, he'll just wear it. So just the John Cena, he just so funny to me. The other day, just saw him in that. But.
Well, a funny thing about John Cena is, well, first of all, he speaks Chinese, I guess, that nobody really knew.
I had no idea.
He do that. He did some kind of apology video to China because he said Taiwan was a country. But because they said he was in this Fast and Furious franchise, and so they sell a lot in China. It's a big franchise in China.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't make 9 or 10 of them because, 40 people over here go. All the 40 people over here like it. But I mean, John Cena actually looks a lot older in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hogan looks about the same.
Yeah.
And
brother.
Yeah. I actually grew out my mustache at the time, and I shaved it to a Hulk style stash. And I had seen him in the Jesus Christ, what the fuck is that dog? Next door?
Dog?
Jeez, yeah, we gotta edit that out. The next door neighbors have a puppy, and it's just they leave it sometimes. And anyway, some people just shouldn't have a puppy, but yeah, I shaved my mustache just like how he has the handlebar. And I was walking down the service corridors, and I see him outside the dressing room talking to one of the producers. And so I'm like, here's my fucking chance. So I go up, I'm like right next to him, like right behind his producer. I'm like this, stroke the stash. And he does the same thing back at me. He's like, strokes it back. That's it. I'm Hulk fan for life. Not that I wasn't already, but this man can do no wrong now to me because he said hi.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's cool when you get to experience cool things because you're in a certain sphere of work, You get to see them and like athletes, you get to see them, and then somebody comes into town, if it's a concert or if it's WWE or whatever,
I'm so jaded. I'm so jaded at this point.
Yeah, it is, right? It is kind of like when you see how the sausage is made. I mean, I know how sausage is made. I still eat hot dogs.
Yeah.
But like...
Right.
I remember my dad told me about how sausages are made, and I was like, I don't care.
Yeah, he's like, well, who else is going to eat that shit? You're just going to waste it?
I'll take 2.
Yeah. Wow. But yeah, I mean, he's right when you kind of see how the sausage is made. I mean, I still go to shows and stuff, but the big arenas and like the big shows like that, it's not the same quite for me anymore. Mm-hmm. Like the little shows around Sacramento, like I went and saw Goldfinger the other day. Yeah. Right. And like that was fun. Mm-hmm. Right. That was cool. And like Aftershock, these kind of like outdoor festivals.
Yeah.
Which I went to Aftershock. Did you go?
Not this time. No.
Well, I went, and that was the weekend that Hamas did that thing in Israel. And I was like, holy shit. I could have fucking been there. I was at a festival that weekend,
Yeah.
And to see that happen at the festival on Sunday is like, holy shit.
Yeah, I used to go to a bunch of concerts. I went to like Coachella We used to do that like every year. And what was that?
We do Coachella.
Yeah, and so I went like probably 4-5 times in a row. And then I went to EDC Festival in Las Vegas, and that
That's a
was
good
pretty
one.
cool. Yeah, so I used to do little things. Yeah, I used to do a lot of those things, and so like I mean, like I think that I'm concert out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I used to go to some concerts too, like smaller ones. I just did a small concert. Sam Tompkins, a small artist from UK, came out. And I was at his show in San Francisco. My brother bought tickets. But when a concert comes in, I think I've seen so many of them and so many artists and so many of them. And I met some artists afterwards, and then like saw artists like in Las Vegas at the casinos afterwards. You know, or like they did a show. I even hopped on stage one time, and so like those things like when your concert out. Like I don't know. It's like somebody's like, you want to go? I'm like, you know what? I'm just like, it has to be somebody special.
It's
you know,
that special or that like nostalgia factor where it's like, oh, they're playing again.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the Grateful Dead, how they always are like ended up playing again.
Yeah.
Like this is their last farewell tour.
Best concert I was at Coachella. I was at Flostradamus. That was so sick. I mean, like their show is so good. I was at Kid Cudi too, and he was really good as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but Flostradamus, I mean, they're just amazing. Just such a, you have to look it up on Coachella. I was there and I was just like, I've been at so many concerts and they just took it, you know, to get first place, you know. So I mean, like concerts are cool and stuff like that. I haven't been around a lot of, you know, famous people or athletes. So like whenever we go into the Kings game, me and my wife went like a week and a half ago, whenever it was the Lakers were in town, and we got like really cool seats. I got tickets 15 minutes before the game. We were living right down the street, and I got triple seat or something like that. And so like we're almost at the floor. So the Kings 1, 2, 3, and then it's like triple A, triple B, we're triple C. So we got lounge access, all that stuff. And so we were like, when we're at halftime, the Kings are all coming in, and I'm just high fiving, you know.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. So I mean, like I'm not too athlete out yet, you know. Sporting events, I'm like, I'm there.
Yeah, sports
but
are cool for me.
concerts, it has to be
Concerts,
something
I'm done.
special, you know? As so many concerts, because you're at Coachella 3 days full on, just 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. of concerts, you know? So,
Well, I mean, I was never really a big sports guy.
Yeah.
Until I started working in the industry, and like all the people that work there are big sports people, and they've been there, and they're like, oh, I'm so glad I have this job. You know, I just kind of like fell into it, but. So everybody, all like the employees, they all knew all the players, and so when a player was in there, one time I got in there like set up one of the registers was having an issue, so I walked up to the store, the main store, and it was before they opened on a game day, and one of the football players was in there shopping, and one of the assistant managers guys was like, Josh, would you mind opening the door for Alex? And I was like, who the fuck is Alex? And he's like, this big fucking dude, right? It's Alex Boone from the 49ers, a big ass offensive lineman. And he's like, it's okay, I'll just break it down. And he goes, and he like, was down there, I was like, oh shit. And he's like, dude, that's Alex Boone. Why didn't you open the door? I was like, motherfucker, I don't even open the door for, don't tell me to open the door for somebody, first of all. And second of all, I don't know who anyone is. Yeah. You know this. You're like, come on, man. Like Steve Young's my favorite guy. You know, that's all. That's as far as it goes.
Yeah. That's hilarious. No, it's like interesting how like when you meet somebody out of the blue somewhere, when you're not like, you know, it's kind of starstruck, you know.
Yeah.
But like when you're going to a game or whatever, or a concert, and you see them, you're thinking about, oh, I'm going to see this person. So like I was at Kaiser the other day for a checkup for our baby, and De'Aaron Fox comes out with his baby. And, you know, and it was just, you know, it's so funny. I was like, we got babies at the same time. And we got the same stroller.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a Donna.
That's how you know you made a good decision.
It's a car seat that turns into a stroller. And so I dabbed him up. So, you know, I was like, you're an amazing player. I was like, we're rooting for you. I was all like, because I met him rookie year. He was doing a signing. And so I went to signing. But it's 5 years in or whatever. And so I was just like, you're a superstar at this point.
I mean, at this point, he's what started them on their track to getting better.
Yeah.
You know, like...
He's the core of our team right now. You know, I've been in a few games where he was like out, and I was just like, this isn't the same game.
Yeah, it's not. And you know, there was that turning point, and the turning point was, I think it was maybe last year where the Warriors came here and the Kings didn't let it happen.
Yeah,
you know, they just didn't let them win.
Yeah,
and that was the big one, right? Because you had people on like the local news channels betting at the beginning, like, well, I'll do 100 push-ups if they, you know, and they ended up doing push-ups and this, you know, things like that. But it's really turned around for them. And it's cool, but it's like at the same time, it just means the tickets are going to be more expensive now.
Yeah, the thing is, like, but we live next to arena. Like, I think we live pretty close, right?
Oh, yeah.
You just got to wait till last minute because people start throwing their tickets away pretty much. And so, like, I'm telling you, I got these tickets with lounge access. I've never been that close. So, I mean,
How
I
much?
it was $300 a pop.
Oh,
Okay.
And yeah, and so we're in lounge, and there's food, there's like a candy store, there's like all this stuff, and I'm all like, I was like, I don't want to go back up. I was just like, I want to stay down here. So I was like telling my wife out the other day, I was like, my mother-in-law's in town, and she wants to go to a game. And I was like, I'm just going to wait till last minute.
Yeah.
And there's like, they're playing 3 times this week. We're playing the 76ers and then the Dallas Mavericks twice. And so I was like, I'd rather go to a Mavericks game, but I was like, if the 76ers, the price is right, I'm going.
Yeah.
So, it's like, look at the lower, pretty much, I want to be behind the Kings. You know, I want to be on that side, home team. But if we're in the middle, next to the visitors, you know, I don't care. I was like, as long as we're on that side and we're, you know, looking at the court, I was like, anywhere from not the floor in the 1, 2, 3, but like triple A, triple B, triple C, and then it goes like double A, double B. Any of those places you get lounge access. And I was like, after going to the lounge, I was like, I don't want to go upstairs and get drinks up with people anymore.
It's club level. That's what it is. Yeah.
And so lounge, you get free beer, free wine, and then they have a cooler with all the drinks, like Gatorade, stuff like that, free. They have what is it called? Like chicken tenders, fries, grass fed beef, rice. I mean, like, this place is stacked. And I walk in there, and then everybody's just like, it felt like you're in first class on a plane. I was just like, I don't want to go back to, you know, regular base level seating anymore. So if it's up to it's a double E. And then after that, it's regular seating. It goes, you know, A, B, whatever. So it's like double E is like prime, like where you get in. And then everybody else is not in the low because you have to come up, you scan in your ticket, and they give you a bracelet. And then you're good.
Yeah, it's like a little club level bracelet. Let me know next time you go because I have a couple of friends that still work there.
Nice.
And actually, fun fact because we got to go pretty soon.
Yeah.
Lady, but fun fact about the Kings is I came there to set up some of the credit card machines because they had like the Cayenne devices, set-alone credit card machines out there.
Yeah.
And so this is before I even moved up here. I came up here to set them up. And I brought my own cables with me, my own like Cat 6 cables, and they were all black. And I got in there, and I was like, "Hey, I need access to, or I need these ports open to go to retail." And I gave them the port list, and they're like, "Oh, but you're not using those cords, are you?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, no. Go over here, and this guy will make you some cords." So I was like, "Okay." Make me some cords. They are all purple. They all have to be purple. All the data cords have to be purple. And so like that's a rule there. I was like, cool. I mean, I don't have to like use my credit card and expense Cat 6 cables anymore. And so, but it's like they were super cool about it. But it's such a cool rule to have, but it's a weird rule.
Yeah.
You know, I can see why they do that, but yeah, and they all like their whole IT office is like decked out in like Star Wars theme too.
Nice.
So
you're like, these are my people.
Yeah, love you guys. Wish I could be here. And now here I am, but I'm not in sports anymore.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, I was never big on sports. My brother is a big Denver Broncos fan. Growing up, I don't know, he just loves the Broncos.
Poor guy.
But and then my younger brother, he became a Broncos fan because of my older brother. So they're just like, they love the Broncos. But for me, it was never about like football or like, you know, that. But for some reason, I found a love for basketball. And so just like, I've been big on, like, I used to like go to Giants games sometimes with my friends or whatever. We'd just like go watch baseball, you know, it'd be fun. But I'm just like Giants game. I'm Giants fan because I'm just like, you know, I live in NorCal and I like the Giants are good. I like the Giants. But Kings, the Sacramento Kings, my dad has just been so big on the Kings, and like ever since Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, Vlade Divac, that like core team, and like he just loves the Kings, and so like he has a old Peja Stojakovic jersey that he wears all the time.
Wow!
So it's just funny to me that like, you know, I found a love for the game, and so like my wife just loves the Kings as well. So you know, if we're going to a sports game, if anything, it's going to be the Kings.
Yeah.
So I at one point I even thought about buying season tickets. I even like got into like with a rep, and I was thinking about buying 2 season tickets. And, you know, if the tickets that I'm not going, just resell them. You know, And I thought that would be a cool thing to have, you know. So now I'm looking at the double E's.
Yeah, well, you get those tickets, and then you just decide like, hey, I'm not going to go to the Warriors game or the Lakers game, and you make most of your money back with that. You know?
Yeah, because those are the crazy. That's what I'm saying. Like when I went to the Lakers game, I was expecting to pay $500 a ticket, and when I found those $300 a pop, I was just like, we got to go to more games.
Yeah,
you know, if you're gonna go to a game, might as well spend a little extra to get the nicer seats. You know. If you're like a crazy fan and you just want to go to a game, you don't care where you're sitting, then you could go wherever in the top somewhere. But if you want to just see it up close and personal, you know, then
especially if you have kids.
Last minute, I'm telling you, it's like 10, 15 minutes for it. The tickets just start plummeting. You'll see a ticket be like $800. Boom, in a few seconds, it's $400.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're like, you know, at one point they're gonna have to get rid of them or they're gonna lose the money altogether.
That's true.
So I was like, we live 10 minutes away. I bought the tickets at 6:45. At 6:58, I was in the parking lot. 7:05, I'm in line.
Oh shit!
So I was like, it's quick, you know.
Within less than an hour.
Less than like 30 minutes, we were already in line. You know, get inside.
From decision to like actual placement.
So like 6:30, I was like, let's go to a game. She's like, okay. I was like, the Lakers are playing today, and so I look at the tickets, buy a ticket. 15 minutes later, and then 20 minutes later, we're in line.
Oh, well, your mother-in-law's there to watch the baby, though.
Yeah. But the thing is, we dropped her off at my mom's place on the way, and she lives down the street in North Thomas. So we like drove around, dropped her off, and then went to the game. But it's like we wanted to go, but we weren't sure. So when we saw tickets, and so now we want to go to a game, but my mother-in-law is going to go with us. So we're going to drop her again at my parents' place.
Oh, nice.
So she's not coming with us. She's 3 months. It's like, I don't want to put on the earmuffs. It's too loud down there. So maybe in like, a year or so, we'll take her.
Yeah. I mean,
she doesn't understand what's going on anyway.
And she's not going to remember it.
Yeah.
You know?
The only thing that she remembers is a picture. If we take a nice new picture in front of the, but it's...
Nah, just
we'll wait till she understands at least something.
Have your good times, then bring them. And then because you got to watch them, and it's like, I'm hungry. Oh, look at all the candy.
But I think that sports brings people together, and I think it's cool just to be out there. You'd never be standing next to this person or hanging out or talking to them or high-fiving them if it wasn't for this game. You know?
Especially if it's like a hot contested game.
Yeah, so we won the Lakers that day. It was so good. LeBron kept missing his threes, and Anthony Davis was having a really bad day and couldn't even make it alley-oop. And it's just so funny to me. Just, layup was just like barely, Yeah. He like throws the ball, alley-oop to LeBron, and just goes into the stands. We're just laughing at him.
You love to see that stuff.
Yeah. I was like, "La loser," not LeBron.
Yeah,
just kept screaming it.
Yeah, because you can say whatever the fuck you want. Some people take it a little far.
Because he could hear me. So that's why it was funny.
Yeah.
But it was a good time. No, I love being able to try new things out, and I think that sporting is a really cool thing to get into and try new things. See people up in person. Like at a game, and just being able to interact and just kind of get the adrenaline going. So sports cool for that.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll go to a game.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Let me know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, everyone. Catch you later.
All right, bye.